Hey everyone, it's 2020. Happy New Year. There's absolutely nothing I want to see in theaters right now. So I decided to take this week to go back and watch something from 2019 that I had wanted to see but never got around to, and so I finally saw Crawl. So let's talk about it. Crawl was written by Michael and Sean Rasmussen, directed by Alexander Aja, and stars Kaya Scaldelario and Barry Pepper, among a bunch of other people. And Crawl is essentially about this swimmer, this trained swimmer, this girl who I believe the character's name is Haley, I want to say. Yeah, Haley. And there is a Category 5 hurricane coming straight for Florida. And Haley can't get in touch with her dad, who she is somewhat estranged with. And even though you're estranged, you don't want your father to die in a hurricane. So she heads right down for it and goes to find her dad, who she discovers is knocked out unconscious in the crawl space underneath their childhood home. And it's not before long that she gets down there that she realizes why he's knocked out unconscious is because there's fucking gators down there. And so now Haley and her dad are now trapped in the crawl space underneath their house, injured, trying to avoid alligators in a Category 5 hurricane that is right above them. And it's actually a really fun movie. Right off the bat, I think the actors are fine. I think Kaya Scaldelario and Barry Pepper, I think, is that his name, right? Barry Pepper? Barry Pepper, are perfectly fine. I think that they give perfectly suitable performances for what was needed. I think there's some moments, specifically from Barry Pepper, that I just felt like there was some line delivery that I think maybe should have did a retake or used a different take, you know what I mean? Along with, there's some moments where they share some emotional moments that I didn't find very convincing, but that's really the worst of it. I think Kaya actually gives an awesome performance. My problems with the acting lies more with Pepper than it does with Scaldelario. So, but either way, this is a B monster movie. And for what it's worth, I think the actors were perfectly suitable in what they gave. In terms of direction and cinematography, I didn't think there was anything necessarily stand out about this movie. It looks fine. It's not the worst looking movie I've ever seen. It's perfectly suitable for the type of movie that it is. Also, because the majority of the movie takes place in this crawl space under the house, there's this really appropriate sense of claustrophobia that the movie does a really good job at maintaining. I thought the music was completely generic. It's immediately forgettable, and none of it stuck with me. So I was just like, whatever. That's what I don't even what, huh? The music, like there was music in this movie. I'm sorry, what? I think it's easy for a movie like this to make the monsters of the movie, and in this case, the gators, kind of, like cartoonishly smart. It's also very easy for this movie to delve completely into disaster porn because it is part monster movie, part disaster movie. And while I love the concept of like these people having to avoid, monster alligators while also in a Category 5 hurricane, it's a great concept. I absolutely love it. But it's very easy to make the alligators cartoonishly evil and smart, and also have the disaster portion of the movie be like disaster porn, like on like a Roland Emmerich scale or something. However, this movie doesn't do that. This movie treats the gators like they're real gators, and they are these really dumb, lizard brain dinosaurs, and the movie treats them as such and presents them as such. The hurricane is also presented fairly realistically. The storm is very believable, and you really do feel like there is a horrible fucking hurricane happening. Because the movie takes these pieces and treats them with such realism, the movie never, in those terms, exceeds logical plausibility. However, there is one aspect where it actually does exceed logical plausibility, and that is in how injured the characters get. These alligators are constantly chomping and dragging these people around and throwing them around, and it comes to a point where like you would be way more hurt than the movie is saying that you are. You know, like for example, Haley's father, when she gets there, his leg's broken and the bone is like popped out. And there's a scene later in the movie where he's standing in like waist high water holding a dog, and you're like, okay, but like your leg's fucked, bro. Like you wouldn't be able to walk, let alone stand in waist high hurricane waters. Like, I'm sorry, it's just illogical. There's even a scene later where, you know, a character gets their arm ripped off and you're just like, okay, you would be in shock and you would die. Like, there would be such amount of blood loss. Doesn't matter if you wrap it up and you make sure it's okay, you would die. However, this wasn't necessarily really an issue for me because I actually was having a really fun time watching this movie. This movie is actually really, really fun. The movie is, I think, really well paced, and it really keeps the tension and suspense rolling as this movie consistently throws more and more challenges at our characters. You know, it's not just an alligator and a Category 5 hurricane. There's rising waters, which means they have to move from one point in the house to the next point in the house, and there's different situations, and it actually keeps racking up the tension and the suspense in a very consistent way. This movie's also fairly short. It's only just under 90 minutes, and so it never overstays its welcome, and it's not longer than it needed to be. I do think the special effects were kind of bad. There's really bad green screen, especially early in the movie where the character Haley is driving to go get her dad. It looks like just bad green screen, and I know this is, you know, nothing to bark at, but it just doesn't look very convincing, and also it doesn't help that when she's holding the steering wheel and driving, she's doing this, because this is how you drive, right? You drive by swerving down the road. Yeah, that's not how people drive. No one drives like this. Please just hold the steering wheel straight if you're driving straight. Do not, you're not swerving down the road like this. Please stop it, okay? Don't drive like that. And so her doing this doesn't help the unrealistic green screen behind her. I think the gators looked fine in certain parts. However, there were some parts where they just looked really bad, like just really bad CG. And part of me wished that they just went with animatronics, or even in certain instances, live gators. I don't know why they wouldn't. They opted to go full CG for all of them. And I really wish they didn't, because a lot of the time it just looks really unconvincing. Overall, I think this movie is actually really, really fun. I had a ton of fun watching it. I laughed several times just at all the shit they throw at these characters, and how injured they were. Started to just, you know, even though they were like, oh yeah, you're standing on a broken leg, that's unrealistic, but I didn't care because I was having a lot of fun with these characters. There's also a good amount of character building and, you know, relationship building between the father and daughter in terms of like backstory and stuff, which, I mean, this movie gives it more than I think a movie like this really deserves. And even though there is some shoddy special effects, overall it's a really, really fun movie that, you know, keeps you on the edge of your seat as you're watching it. And overall, I actually had a really fun time watching it. I'm going to give Crawl a 4 out of 5. Really underlooked gem, I think, from last year. Apparently, I heard that this movie was not screened for critics, which is, I think, why it kind of went underseen. And I don't know. I feel like, you know, I feel like I would expect more people to be talking about this movie because it's actually really fun. It's a really fun B movie. And, you know, I mean, I don't go into it expecting Shakespeare or anything, you know, but also don't go into it expecting like Sharknado, because it's definitely not on the level of cheese of Sharknado. But it's a solid movie, and I had a lot of fun watching it. So, you know, hey, check it out. Thanks for watching this review. If you like this video, please hit the like button. I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe. I upload a new review almost every Monday. I try my best. You can find me on social media at The Shane Watson, including Letterboxd, where I usually write out reviews for movies that I don't review on this channel. For example, I just recently posted a little tiny review of the Bumblebee from, I think it was 2018 that came out. So, you know, check out my Letterboxd. I'm also on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook too. You can go find those pages. All those links are in the description. Thank you for watching. See you later.